Hi there, I'm Mikaela McLean, and this is an introduction to your human design energy type. I'm an auric esthetician, and my work focuses on the cultivation of inner beauty using methods such as human design, astrology, Reiki, meditation, yoga nidra, sound healing, crystals, essential oils, and so much more. But a little background before we dive in. I grew up a ballet dancer, which unfortunately left me with an eating disorder, mental health issues, and very low self worth. As a young adult, I found myself in the beauty industry, which is probably not the healthiest place for someone like me. Now, I've been a licensed master esthetician in the state of Washington for 2 decades, specifically working in dermatology and plastic surgery. A real beauty is pain, let me laser your face off kind of gal. A lifelong self professed beauty junkie who always thought another laser or injectable would finally help me be content with myself, but that never happened. And as much as I loved all my years of helping make people feel beautiful on the outside, I always knew there was something missing, both for myself and my patients. My personal journey somehow led me to human design, and the discovery of this system has been such a huge blessing in my life because it led me to stop seeking an external fix and finally recognize my own inner beauty. It has helped me quantum leap into self love and acceptance. And that's what's so cool. Sitting with and studying my own very specific and unique human design, I have learned that that's my role to play here on earth. I'm here to empower others to love and accept themselves from the inside out, but only after learning how to do it for myself. In my experience, human design is nothing short of life changing, but the change can't be rushed. It must be integrated and embodied on a cellular level over time. So let's get started at the beginning. I'm going to introduce you to your own design at the highest level. This video will cover your type, strategy, authority, not self signature, and some deconditioning tips. Don't know what any of that means yet. Don't worry, we're going to cover it all. And for those who do know, this is a great refresher to reacquaint yourself with the fundamentals, the most important elements we need to live out in our day to day lives. I have a friend who, after her initial one on one human design session with me, said that I am like a hype girl for the universe. And it's true. I get so excited to introduce people to this incredible wisdom, and it tickles me to know the positive chain reaction this is going to set off in your life. So let's get into it. Let me do my job and let's get you high on you.
All right, so what is human design? Human design is a synthesis of ancient wisdom and modern science. So, on the ancient wisdom side, we have astrology, specifically Western astrology, the I Ching, the Kabbalah, and the Hindu Brahman chakra system. And then the modern science is quantum mechanics, it's astronomy, genetics, biochemistry. I really like to think of it as your energetic DNA, that is how you are wired. So, what it is not, it's not a religion or a cult. It's not a belief system. There's nothing in it you need to believe. It's a science experiment. Just take it, play it, try with it. Try it out. It's not fortune telling, and you're not predicting the future. This is really more of a blueprint of your potential. And it's not a personality test or quiz. This is it's not the Enneagram, it's not the Myers-Briggs. So the functions of human design, it is known as the science of differentiation. It is everything that makes you up that's so specific and uniquely you. That whole uh, conglomeration of things that really come together to create a unique individual. And like I said before, it's totally objective. It's based on your time, date, and place of birth. Unlike a personality test, we experience a lot of conditioning, and those personality tests speak to who we think we are, who we believe we are, who we've become over time, rather than who we really are at our core, who we've been conditioned to think we are by the world around us, by school, friends, society, so on and so forth. It really helps to shed light on how you are wired, right? Your decision making style, your energy levels. And at the end of it, I feel like the biggest gift is that it creates so much compassion for yourself. You learn to love and accept yourself, in my opinion, with this. And then also understand that every single other person in the world also has their unique design, and it gives you so much compassion for others. It also helps you identify your key strengths, your talents, again, the special things that make you up as an individual. And then you can highlight that. You can use that in your everyday life. You can use that in business. I say use it, but really it's about the embodiment of it. And then when you come into alignment with you, with that blueprint, magic just starts to happen. So again, the functions, it really is this user's manual for you. It's like you've been given the instructions or the rule book, the guidebook for you and your makeup. I personally really see it as a shortcut to healing and wholeness. It allows these quantum leaps to happen of self-love, self-acceptance, like I said, the embodiment of just you being okay with you, and which is truly the greatest gift. Like I said, your special qualities, your gifts, even your purpose. It really is a system to help you love and accept yourself and others. I wholeheartedly believe that, and that has been my biggest takeaway from my years spent in this experiment. Definitely knowledge for how to help you live your best life with the least amount of resistance. And I also see it uniquely as a diagnostic tool for holistic beauty. When coming from aesthetics and everything always being about the outside, and then you discover all these magical things that maybe nobody ever praised you on, you maybe took for granted, it was never acknowledged, and you realize those are all the things that make you up energetically, that make you beautiful from the inside out. So I jokingly say it's like therapy on steroids. And why human design now? Why is it exploding? We're living in a world that is evolving. Times are changing. In human design, there are specific time periods of a little over 400 years, and we are approaching the end of one, right? So 2027 is part of human design. It's a very important year, and it is a time period where we change time periods. We are going from a very tribal time to a time that is about the individual. And why this is really important is that the period that we're in has to do with structures and building things together. And in the last few years, we've all seen this really kind of crumble before our eyes, how things are absolutely, without a doubt, shifting. And so we need to learn to live as our own authority. So we're moving into this time period of an individual, and I definitely see, it's like influencers and things like that. That's all going to go away. We're going to all realize, especially when we come into alignment with ourselves, we don't need anyone else outside of us telling us what to think, telling us what to do. Um, we are our own authorities. There will be no, gurus outside of that. And so it's a very deeply, deeply, deeply empowering. And that's the magic of something in design about being an individual, is that it's about empowerment, and it also coincides with the, air quotes, Aquarian age in astrology. Um, Aquarius is like, yes, it's humanity, it's for the people, but at the same time, it's about all of us coming together as unique, fully embodied individuals. I'm good with me. You're good with you. We accept, we can love each other, but we don't have to be the same. We don't have to belong to the same group, the same anything. It's pretty amazing. It's just like, let your freak flag fly, be yourself, and let's all love each other for it. Um, as I said, individual self-love and acceptance has a ripple effect on others. When you come into alignment and that true embodiment with yourself, you are energetically giving permission to everyone around you to do the exact same thing. So deeply empowering, which then in turn raises the frequency of the world. There is a 7-year cycle. This is always really important. I like to point this out when I'm introducing people to design, because the stress is, oh my gosh, I have to understand all of this. I need to be living this immediately. No, it's a science experiment. Like I said, there's nothing you have to believe. The real magic is actually experimenting with it, seeing how when you approach life the way maybe you always have versus kind of the awareness of some of these new things and how it does or doesn't impact your life, positive or maybe not so positive. Um, and the only way you can get there is actually by experimenting. You actually have to live it out. So very important to always remember that. And like I said, the whole thing's a science experiment. And that 7-year cycle is it's like it takes the cells in your body to renew fully that's 7 years. And so to kind of strip away all of the things that we have been conditioned to believe our entire lives, it's a long process and it never really stops, to be honest. But I am at this point, 2022, I'm going on like 7 years in my experiment, and it's quite fascinating. And absolutely, I don't think it stops. You find all the places though that you see it and you have awareness now, and you can bring your attention to the things that you're like, yeah, that's actually out of alignment with my design, and I know how good it feels to live in alignment with it, and I make better choices, and my life is just easier. It flows better when I adhere to my own personal instruction manual. So, one really important thing on all of that, human design is extremely heady, extremely intellectual, extremely complicated. It's a system. Um, so it's almost about exhausting the mind in a sense, because at the end of the day, it is not meant to be lived or comprehended from the mind, not at that conscious level. You're not supposed to be up in your mind thinking about things that don't matter. Again, this is about the experiment, living it from an embodied place, like really being in your body. Your body is it's your antenna. It is the vehicle or the vessel that you've been placed in to experience life. And our bodies are so incredibly wise. We don't give them the credit that they deserve. Um, and when we get into authority, we'll really speak to that. So we have the passenger, which is your mind. This is a huge human design concept, a little bit further along than this intro video, but the passenger is our mind. It's who we think we are. The vehicle is our body that is really like living out and guiding us. And the driver is um it is something called our magnetic monopole. And when I talk about it, it's this thing that really brings everything loving and beautiful our way if we would just get out of our own way, right? It is something that takes us along what is called like the unique geometry of our life. Like we have a path and we just need to relax and enjoy the ride. That's a famous human design quote. Just get out of your own way, relax and enjoy the ride. Let your body do what it's designed to do. So these videos are intro to our human design type, our aura type, our energy type. It gets referred to as a few different things. But like I said, it's just an introduction to your aura type. Your aura, really, you can think of it almost like this vehicle that you ride around in, that you experience life through, and how others experience you as well, how you engage with life. Learning about your type, again, instruction manual, how to operate in alignment. And I do always tell people there is no one type, trait, gate, authority, whatever you want to put, like whatever it is, there's no one thing that's better than another. It's truly, it's truly like every single thing in the chart it's two sides to the same coin. There is a high expression and there's a low expression. And you can learn things about yourself. You're like, oh my gosh, yes, I do that. It's like, great. But you also have the free will and the embodiment, the ability to animate all of those things in a very high expression way as well. So it's really beautiful because you realize you're just wired that way, and I can choose the low vibe or the high vibe expression of every single thing in my chart. So, also, this is just learning how to do you to the best of your ability, right? Choose that high expression anytime that you're able to, and experience the least amount of resistance going through life. Make life easier on yourself. All right, the Human Design Manifestor Masterclass. So, starting with what is in a chart. For manifestors, we are looking at type, and right here we see manifestor. Strategy for a manifestor is inform, And this website, Genetic Matrix, also includes initiate, but informing is the manifestor strategy. And when we get to authority, there are 3 possible authorities for manifestors. We have emotional manifestors, splenic manifestors, and ego manifestors. So you on genetic matrix, you're going to find that right before where it says manifestor. On other charts, it may just say authority somewhere along here, and then it will tell you what that is. And then signature versus not self. So manifestors, not self is anger, and their signature is peace. And then what makes somebody a manifestor? Because this is a rare type. Manifestors cannot, will not, do not have the sacral, which is this guy right here, sacral chakra, defined. This will not be colored in. It will be white, even if like this one has things coming off of it. The center itself is still white, but then they will have one of the other 3 motor centers. Motor centers are energy givers, right? The root, the solar plexus, or the heart, also known as the will or the ego center, one of those 3 are going to need to be connected directly to the throat somehow. That is how we wind up being a manifestor. So you can see this is actually my 5-year-old son's chart, my little manifestor. He has got his heart or his will or his ego center connected directly to his throat through this particular channel, the money channel. Um, and yeah, so what's so interesting is how we get our definition period is that 2 things, whether that is from the conscious side of our chart, the black side, who we think we are, the one that corresponds with our astrology chart, or the design side. This is our body. Everything in red is known as design side, and it is our vehicle. So that is 3 months or 88 degrees of the sun prior to our actual birth. That is where we get all of those placements. So between the 2, we have to have something coming together completely to have the 2 energy centers actually color in. So something's got to be connected by a full channel, which is what this is, to have them light up. Okay, so the manifestor aura, or no, also known as your energy type, gets referred to as a few different things. All right, so manifestors. And I just have to preface this and say I am very partial with my 5-year-old to manifestors because they are so special. They are pure power, and it is that true ability to manifest. And I do like to differentiate, between what people think of manifestation versus manifest. Like I'm literally just speaking things into existence. Manifestors are the initiators. They are so impactful and so inspiring to others. And it's really important. They're not the ones here to be influenced. They are the influencers, right? They get the downloads, they get the things drop in from source for them, and then it goes out. But they are not meant to really be contaminated by others, right? The influence moves out from them, not inward to them. So they're very independent and often independent of others. They are always acting on divine downloads. And my own personal sort of saying for them is they're the surrogates for the universe, right? They're here to receive divine downloads and then get those things out into the world. But at the end of the day, a manifestor is not required there. It's actually incorrect for them to feel like they have to then take care of the quote baby, right? You're just here to birth things into the world on behalf of the divine, get it out there, and then let other people sort of take over and carry and nurture that. And we've all been conditioned in the world to, like believe always things otherwise than what our design really is about. So first things first, the aura itself for a manifestor, I would say it's a protective aura. It's like a brick wall. Other people cannot see into it. It is essentially eh, unfortunately, in the traditional literature, it gets referred to as closed and repelling. And again, right, my 5-year-old, where I'm very, very protective about this, is that that sounds terrible until you understand what that means, is that it is a safety mechanism. It is keeping, like I said, the contamination, people that don't belong in your space, in your energy, out and away from you. Um, right? Not everybody needs to get close to that baby you're the surrogate for. And then manifestors are typically polarizing forces. They're not for everybody. And again, this goes back to the protective aura. Frequently for them, it's like you can feel like, oh my gosh, what is with me and my energy, and why does it sort of like push other people away? It's designed to. It's taking care of you. Um, Others typically absolutely love them, are all about them. I see this with my little guy, but and then on the flip side, they're not. It's kind of a love-hate relationship, which is so harsh. But again, protection, protection, protection. It's like rejection is protection. So they make a huge, huge, big impact on others, which can make other people feel uncomfortable. Excuse me, a manifestor has big energy, whether they're the person that comes in the room being, big or not, your energy is so big and impactful. And I always like to stress, this is also my thing from observing my little guy, the energy is either full out or flat out. In manifestors, it's like the muse has struck, here we go. I've got an idea, I've got a download, and I just boom, I gotta move, I gotta act on it. Or, you know, the almost that manicness is like moved through and now it's time to completely rest. So I feel like for manifestors as well, there's just like a lot of hangups. Um, and it's all conditioned. It's all things that we've been led to believe. So in my opinion, what I've seen, all the manifestors I've worked with, and I definitely have periods where I go through where I see tons of manifestors for one-on-ones. They most likely have not had their power affirmed, not encouraged, not celebrated, especially, and I work mainly with females, especially not females. I I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say this. I'm always like, you guys are the bad bitches. You are so amazing. But from the time, you're teeny tiny, you probably have not been revered that way. So they can really feel alone, again, that protective aura that's sort of pushing away people that don't belong there. So it's like easy to feel alone and separate from everybody else. Manifestors definitely struggle with other people trying to control them because you have a little tiny person, and in our case, it's the baby of the family, and he's the baby boss. Flat out. It's so terrible. Like it's hilarious, we understand it. We're like, he runs the show. And we understand and respect that, but most people probably did not grow up in a household that knew these things, understood, and were okay with it. So other people try to control them, try to squash them down and make them fit a specific mold instead of letting them be the powerful forces of nature that they are. Also other people getting in their way, right? Blocking their creative flow and their freedom. Freedom is so important for a manifestor to be able to move about the world and, receive the information that they get and then act on it. So this could be like being in school, being in a regular 9 to 5 job. There's something about that that's very confining and restricting for a manifestor. Another hang up, people pleasing, shrinking themselves down to be liked, which never works. It's like, again, mainly working with females, but like, oh, you have to be a nice girl, you have to be good, you have to be likable, all of these things. And at the end of the day, there's no amount of contorting that a manifestor can do that will make people who are not designed to like them like them. So it's kind of like you just have to stop with that. And I already said this, but it's like they're set up for rejection. You guys are the initiators. You are the ones that instigate, you start things. And so if you're always the person who's kind of like tasked with making the first move in life in all areas, that is a setup for rejection. So again, building, the strength for that and fortifying yourself against it. It's like not everybody's ready or everybody's meant to be part of the manifestors like thing, right? So you being okay with that, knowing it about yourself, and it's like some people, you just may be too big, too powerful for just anybody, but the right people are going to love you. I laugh with my little guy. I'm like, I'm obsessed. I'm absolutely obsessed with this child. He's so incredible and such a manifester. Um, so again, it's protection. It's protection. So manifestors are non-sacral. 70% of the world has that sacral, that tummy, the gut defined. When you do not have it, so manifestors, projectors, reflectors all do not have their sacral defined, and that just means there's inconsistent energy. And again, this is where I say full out or flat out. It's like all of a sudden the muse strikes. We got to move, we got to create, we have to bring new things into the world. And then, again, I kind of laugh. I always go back to this whole like birthing a baby, but being the surrogate, it's like, okay, I had the baby and now I need to rest. You didn't expect mom to keep going, going, going and keep, having babies every day. There needs to be a time for rest. There has to be a balance. So huge thing that I feel like all manifestors I know judge themselves on. They want to be in that high and going and doing and creating 24/7, and they think there's something wrong with them when they are not in that place energetically all the time. There's time to be on and there's time to be off, and you will naturally know that. So again, when you have the sacral undefined, like a manifestor does, you have to learn. It's part of your curriculum to learn when enough is enough, that you don't run 24/7, 365. Living in a sacral dominated world, our work days are, 8, 10, 12 hours a day, 5, 6, 7 days a week. That is not correct. That is not correct output for a manifestor. So again, not judging yourself on the fluctuating energy levels, embracing those highs and lows. Also, when you do not have the sacral defined, you are not a gut person. So everybody in the world here's go with your gut, trust your gut. That is not correct for you. You will have another boss, your authority, which we are going to get to, that is really your correct decision maker. So again, everybody in the world gets conditioned hearing that constantly, and it's right for only a small portion of people. Another thing about having an undefined sacral that's really important is aura-free spaces, including your bedroom. Just taking on other people's energy. Again, you're designed to have that to have the closed, repelling aura, so you have that protection. But again, it's like just being around too many people. You need that ability to basically empty out. And so winding down into sleep, both of these things are things to sort of keep in mind, take with a grain of salt, but uh, building little pockets of rest into your day. Again, not judging yourself when you need to just like lay down on the couch, or winding down into sleep. This is getting ready for bed, not falling asleep exhausted, but allowing yourself the time to lay down 30 minutes to an hour ahead of time before you actually go to sleep, so that when you do sleep, you're really getting deep, restful, restorative, regenerative sleep, rather than, okay, I'm just satisfying a need and I wake up and I'm exhausted. It's also everyone is and I always say, take this with a grain of salt, but in design, it's ideal for everybody to sleep alone, because we're essentially in each other's aura, especially if you're sleeping in the same bed, even the same room all night long. But I do tell people, I'm like, experiment with that, see if that works for you or not with your relationships and things. But it's just something to keep in mind. A lot of people, especially the non-sacrals, really do benefit when they're not sleeping right next to somebody, even if it's just taking your naps away from other people. Okay, so strategy. Strategy is how, if we're like, okay, I'm this big energy, I'm making impact, I'm, bringing new things in the world, I'm rallying the troops, I'm starting movements, I'm doing big things. Like, how do you do that? So strategy is really how you're meant to engage with the world around you, with other people. So, for a manifester, their strategy is hilariously simple by comparison to everyone else's. It is merely to inform. So this takes me back to that brick wall aura and why I describe it that way is like others cannot see past that brick wall. They cannot read your mind. And again, having a little manifestor in my house and really seeing this from day one, you know, he truly just expects everyone to read his mind. And especially when he was a little bit younger and maybe not quite as verbal, um, gets so angry, right? Manifest or not self, we're gonna get there. But he would get so angry at the fact that you didn't understand exactly what he wanted when he wanted it. And you're like, but you're not telling me what you need. Like, yes, master, please, we will do anything to keep you from getting mad. Like, please help us help you, you know? So you think about that, you're like, okay, the manifestor just has to let people know, you know? To stress though, it is never, ever, ever about asking for permission. You are merely looping people into the things that you're doing. You're just, hey, I'm going to consider who this is going to impact, and then I'm going to let them know. They don't need every single detail. I just need to clue my people in. Hey, I'm going to run to the store. Hey, I'm going to start this new project. Hey, I want to be alone. Don't bother me. I'm going in my room and I'm closing the door. But when you communicate, when you inform, you are actually getting out in front of things because basically one of the things that irritates a manifester is people interrupting their flow. When the creativity is flowing and they want to do their thing, other people getting in the way, asking questions, bothering you. You could easily cut this off at the pass by just getting out in front of it and informing them. Cannot expect people to read your mind. And when in doubt, over communicate. I love this. I got this from a manifestor friend. She's like, "Oh yeah, I over communicate." I was like, "That is a brilliant, just get it out there. The right people are going to be on board and the other ones you're just going to move them energetically out of your way and allow you to come on through, proceed without their resistance blocking you." And what it really does is puts others at ease. You have this big impactful aura. It gets them out of your way. It's like, "Oh, okay, she cares enough to tell me, all right, wonderful." It eliminates the questions, it eliminates the interruptions, the resistance, all of that. Just inform. And it really does help build trust and respect. And what you will find is that when you start informing others, others will begin to inform you. One of the little jokes, I'm going to throw this in here. As I said, you're not ever asking for permission. However, if you are raising a manifestor child, you actually want to teach them to ask for permission for things because what they're really doing is you're training them to just inform when they are older. Um, it's also joked about manifestors are they're the children that could raise themselves. Like you could just let them be on their own and they would instinctively know how to take care of themselves in the world. So a few years ago at Christmas time, my little guy really got into Home Alone. He loved Kevin. And it hit me at some point. It was like, oh my God, Kevin McAllister's a manifester. I'm like, the kid is left home alone in Chicago. He he protects his house from bad guys, like the whole nine. You're like watching this, you think, no, this child 1000% is a manifester, and my manifester totally relates to him. And this is where this love for Kevin comes from. But yeah, the permission thing is just so important. Is basically it's like as a parent to a manifestor, your task is just to kind of help try to keep them safe, but not control them. It can be hard. All right. So authority. Authority, I always say this is your boss. It's your ultimate decision maker. And so if your strategy, right, the informing is how you go about life, authority is how you're going to make the correct decisions for yourself. And for 100% of us, no matter what your type is, it is never, ever, ever the mind. The mind is just, again, what we started with in the beginning. That is the passenger. It's like, just go back in the back seat, hang out, look out the window and enjoy yourself, but don't try to run the show. And again, for manifestor, it's never going to be the gut. So that go with your gut, throw that advice out the window. So again, manifestors, we've got three possibilities or three subtypes of manifestors. We have the emotional authority, splenic authority, or ego authority. So it's not a sacral authority. Once again, it is not about going with your gut. And so this is really interesting, again, as a parent to a manifestor, and I have a sacral generator daughter. I do not and will not speak to them in the same way about trusting themselves, their intuition, their decision making. They're totally different. So if you are a parent, I highly suggest really understanding your children because at the end of the day, human design is for children. And if we can raise kids according to their designs, we don't ever have to be 30, 40, whatever years old discovering this and being like, wow, that would have been amazing to know this from day one. We'll be living in a different world. Okay, so our emotional authorities. If you are an emotional manifester, what is really important is you are not designed to make decisions in the moment. Crazy, I know. A lot of emotional authorities are, especially when they're young, very impulsive people, and then they wind up regretting decisions. So, what is going on here is that you are always riding an emotional wave. And if you look at a chart specifically, like in a one on one context, um, way more details that we can get into about the type of wave, what is going on there. But what I tell all emotional authorities is that this is a mechanical process that's happening to and through you. These highs and these lows, these natural ups and downs, but you are not in charge of them. Like you didn't choose that. It's just happening. So when you're aware that you have these natural highs and lows, the ebbs and flows, you can sort of become uh, emotionally intelligent over time, right? They need time to feel out the highs and lows. They need time to feel how they feel about things. And so what you're really waiting for is to get to this place of neutral clarity where your decisions are no longer emotionally charged. And so always important to know feelings are not facts, nor are they final. They're always subject to change. And there is so much power in waiting. So basically it's like, hey, okay, I'm not designed to make decisions in the moment. I need to wait on this. I should sleep on it. um Sleeping ideally is like the bare minimum, but you're just waiting to get to this place of neutral clarity. Like I've ridden out all the highs and the lows of this situation, and now it could be 3 days later. You'll really need to like observe yourself if you're an emotional authority, kind of see what your patterns are. Again, working one on one, you can really see, you'll get way more detail about this. Um, but understanding your highs and your lows, and then be like, wow, yeah, okay, that's not how I operate. And I always say, well, yeah, what's meant for you is not going to pass you by. If you need to sleep on it, you need to take a moment, you wait. The things that are meant for you will still be there. The people will wait you out. Um, the cruel joke as well for emotional authorities is that they are never 100% sure about anything. So stop trying to hold yourself to being 100% certain. Ideally, you're shooting for 80%. And it's like, why not 100? Well, because again, feelings aren't facts. They're subject to change. The way I feel about this right now is probably not how I'm going to feel about it later today or tomorrow. I've had people be like, oh, you're telling me this as well. Go, to the store, some shop and spend $1,000 only to realize the next day, oh, I need to take all of that back. And I'm like, yes, because you did it in the heat of the moment and then realized later, like, wow, I was that was just a moment, and now this isn't correct for me anymore. So we can save ourselves a lot of issues by doing that. Time, money, whatever, um, breaking promises, all kinds of things. So if you're shooting for 80%, I tell people it's like, okay, great. You know what? That sounds great. I'm going to get back to you tomorrow. Or you know what? Let me have the weekend to think this over. Just having language in your back pocket all the time and just to buy yourself time constantly. Uh, and then you wait. Hopefully at least getting to sleep on it, if not longer. If you sleep on it the next day, you're like, wow, I'm only 50-50. Okay, has not been long enough. Give yourself more time to get to that 80% place where you're like, you know what, I feel really good about this. I'm ready to go out and inform. And I do stress to people, this is not about, oh, I need to sleep on whether or not I want to go get coffee, right? I always stress that this is like medium on up. Like the bigger the decision, the more you need to make sure that you're honoring emotional authority. Okay. Very, very, very important. But it's really giving you a time to take a step back and feel it out. Like, how do I feel? And for a manifestor, this is also very interesting because if I get these downloads of things to that I want to make manifest in the world, sometimes you're going to realize that wow, I it hit me, and then when I slept on it, when I gave myself some time, I realized later that's not something I actually want to do. You know, a day or two later, and this is not the thing that I want to make my next move on. Okay. So then we have splenic authority. So your spleen is your boss in this case. And I always refer to this as the inner caveman or the inner wild animal. So, unlike emotional authority, this is designed to make decisions in the moment, in the present moment. This is about instinctual or intuitive hits. It is not logical, it's not rational, it does not know why it likes something or doesn't, or this is safe or it's not. Um, it doesn't and it doesn't matter, right? This is just a knowing. And it's subtle. It is different for every individual. So this is rooted in the senses. And I stress to people when I'm doing one-on-one sessions, like I can't tell you there's very clear markers in the chart of, wow, you have a really strong sense of smell. Oh my goodness, you have really incredible hearing. Or, again, we're getting into specifics, but people will definitely have a way that they sense it. So again, it's not the gut. It's not like, "Yay, oh, I'm so excited." It's more like the spleen in a sense is just it is in charge of keeping you healthy, it's keeping you safe, it's keeping you alive, right? This is survival. So you're driving, down a dark road, and you're like, "Oh, this isn't safe." Or maybe it's the way you drive home every day, and then one day you're just like, "Nope, can't turn down that street." Or you enter into a place, "Yep, something's off. We gotta go." Right? And you have no explanation why. And later you may find out, "Oh, wow, okay, well, there it was." Um, you know, what's interesting is that it's sensing. It's always one step ahead without the logic behind it. So my little guy is a splenic manifester, and I have so many stories about this from him just predicting the weather. Like he'll be outside, a beautiful sunny day, and he's like, "It's gonna storm." And, not a cloud in the sky, you're like, "No way," and of course, what happens? It storms. When he was really little, you'd be riding in the car with him, and he'd say, "Oh, be careful, don't crash." You're like, "What are you talking about?" Only to turn the corner and there's a car wreck. Things like that are so wild that there's no way he would know any of that, and yet he did. Um just that awareness. Oh, and back to the thing about the senses is like really tuning into yourself, realizing, okay, I need to throw this whole go with your gut stuff out of my head and tap into what is it that I feel like. The spleen is sort of like we're going along and everything's cool until it's not cool, until a red flag pops up. Something is off. Um, I had someone I did a session with. I love to ask my splenic authorities, like, what does this feel like to you in your body? Like how do you receive the information? And one person in particular had said that they experience it like being at the top of the roller coaster and when it drops and that feeling in your stomach where it's like, everybody knows that feeling. I don't really know how to describe it, but they said that is how I know something's not okay. I get that feeling. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. So yeah, so if your splenic authority is just really tapping into and really getting quiet, and beginning to trust that, it is subtle until you really love on it more and more and more, and then you will build that intuition muscle and make it stronger. But you have to just trust it, and again, know that it's like it doesn't have an explanation for you. Like this is not logical, and it's not about yay, it's just trusting that very subtle niggle. Oh, and okay, this is a really great little story as well. I tell my manifestors when I'm doing sessions with manifestors. So I'm like, you get to hear all about my son. So the other day, my daughter and I, who is a sacral generator, we were talking about him, and she said, "Have you ever noticed?" And she's the older one. Have you ever noticed that when we like see a dog out on, like you meet a dog on a walk or something, she's like, he steps away, he backs up. He kind of like, just pulls away. Despite the fact that he loves animals, he loves dogs, loves them. And it hit me. I was like, oh my goodness. She and I, sacral authorities, were like, doggy, yay, love it. Down there, loving on the dog. And for him, I go, this is he for him, that spleen, he is a wild animal meeting another animal. So he backs up, he steps away, he gives this healthy distance. I don't know if this is safe or not yet. Right? So when you can think of it in like that context, you're like, wow, okay. All right. This gives a little bit more of those intuitive clues. It's like there's nothing wrong, but I don't know that yet. And I need that healthy distance to make sure that everything's okay. Right. And you think about animals too, it's like they're not up in their heads and they're not over in their feelings. They're in the present moment, paying attention to all the little subtle cues that are coming their way, that they are sensing that this is or is not safe to stay around here. And then they're gone. Okay. And then finally, we have ego authority. So this one's fun. This is, a lot less definition. If we have just the heart, the will, the ego center connected to something else, um, this is all about if your heart's in it. Where there's a will, there's a way. Right. So for an ego authority, it's very interesting because this is about letting yourself blurt things out. It is a verbal expression of the heart, what you want, not the mind. So this is a case where air quotes being selfish is correct for somebody. And it's not really being selfish, it is your authority. So for ego authority, it's like, what do I want? What's in it for me? Not doing things to people please, but really like, do I have the energy and the willpower? This is coming from a motor center. Do I have the willpower, the drive, the want to actually do the thing? And when you actually say it out loud, you'll be like, "Oh, okay, there's the answer." Um, so success here is about, fulfilling commitments. Like the heart makes promises that it needs to keep. It needs to follow through on. That natural willpower must be there. You can't force yourself. And and again, this is a little bit more complicated. I won't go into too much detail, but when if this is your authority, there is no other motor center happening in your body. So the energy from this center acts like, I think it's like a piggy bank or a little debit card. You have to pay into it. You have to take care of yourself. You have to rest. It's about working with the flip side is the ability to rest. Like I can't be on 24/7. I can't be willful 24/7. There's a time for work, there's a time for rest, and I have to honor that. And so I can't be spending my precious energy on things that I really don't have the willpower to see all the way through. So only say yes if your heart is really in it. And again, you open your mouth, you blurt it out. Those are the correct things for you. Just like kind of, wow, okay, there it went, right? Manifestors are this is your heart connecting to the throat. This is the ego center manifesting itself out into the world via the throat, speaking things into existence. So, manifestors, how do you know if a download, right, is the correct one to act on, the correct one to go around informing other people, initiating, lighting a fire under? So, if you're emotional authority, again, not meant to be impulsive. You want to wait the wave out for neutral clarity and then realizing, like, do I still want to take action on this? Do I want to inform people about this? Um, Inform the people that it will impact or not? Because something you might have been like ready and raring to go on day one, you realize 3 days later, no way. It no longer kinda has that sparkle that it did, and that's wonderful. Don't waste your time and energy on it. If you are a splenic authority, this is instinctual, right? That's that wild animal in the present moment. And it's about informing others in the now, which can be kind of a little bit difficult. Like I said, you walk in a place with a group of people and then immediately you're like, nope, gotta go. So it's very much like you get the feeling cut to informing immediately and knowing that that is correct for you. And then for the ego one, speak it in the present moment and trust the impact of your voice. Whatever comes out of your mouth is correct. And then we're moving on to our not self versus the signature. So, not self is our warning light, it is our red flag, it is where we're trying to go off track, versus our signature. This is our happy place in alignment where we want to be living from. Oh, there we go, right? The red flag, the warning light. But truly, it's amazing how this works. So for the non-self for manifestors is anger. And what makes a manifestor angry? Feeling controlled, being held back, being told what to do or interrogated about what you're doing, your whereabouts, all just anything you're like, I don't need anybody's permission. Stop asking me things. This is anger from meeting resistance from others, being rejected, giving your power away. Again, these powerful, powerful beings and just sort of letting it be taken advantage of or squashed down, right? Others interrupting you, asking too many questions, blocking your creative flow. Like this is all stuff that's going to just cause issues and anger. But I always stress to people, I'm like, make friends with your not self. Like make friends because it is here to show you something. It's here to help you. It's letting you know, hey girl, you're trying to go 20 miles off the wrong road. If I'm starting to feel a little spicy, a little angry, okay, I need to look at things. Let's get back on track. So if you're feeling anger in any of its forms, and I also like to say it's like some of that trying to contain yourself, trying to squash yourself down, be a nice girl, all of that, or nice boy, or nice they them. It's like, hey, okay, I I could also walk around kind of more of a low key, just low key pissed, low key uh seething this underlying, just low key anger all of the time. So if you're feeling that way as well, this is something to look at. And it's always your cue to go back to strategy and authority. So strategy and authority in human design is it is the golden rule. It's like what we all want to be knowing and living by. Absolute baseline. So ask yourself, right? I'm feeling angry, feeling spicy. Did I inform anybody? Or did I go ahead through life plowing through without any warning? I have this wildly impactful aura. I am a big energy. I make waves, right? Did I tell anybody or did I just blast on through? And kind of throw people off. It's discombobulating, right? You have an impact. And then say you did. You're like, no, I totally did. Well, what did your authority have to say? You know, did I honor it or did I let my mind take the wheel? It's like, if I'm emotional, did I sleep on it? If I'm splenic, did I really trust my in the moment instincts? If I'm ego, did I hear what came out of my mouth? Did I go with that? Did I trust myself? And then we have our signature. So the thing that's letting us know, right? Hashtag goals. I am living in alignment. This is where I want to be operating from in my life. So our signature here is peace. It's so funny. This one is just so simple. By comparison to the other types signatures of like so many other things. Like for manifestors, just like leave me alone. Let me be at peace, feeling no resistance. I just want to be. I want to be able to play, create, innovate, do my thing without um interruptions, without interference, right? Free to take inspired action and have that impact, have the ideas come to you and actually do something with them. And I think it's very much a calm and empowered place to be operating from. I recently had I had a session with a manifestor, and they had told me that actually the whole peaceful thing, they'd been so used to kind of the chaos that going along without informing had created in their life, that they're like, "Oh, I thought that this was boredom, and really it's peace. There's just been so much chaos all this time." So, deconditioning, which is about cleaning up your vibration, right? So ways just to help you do you better. Getting ample rest during the day and quality sleep at night. So again, building little rest breaks into the day where you're not around anybody, laying down for 5-10 minutes. Laying down is always a very important piece of this. And then that quality sleep at night that you are able to lay down. You could still read a book or watch a show or what have you, but 30 to 60 minutes before bed so that you really empty out and then can reset and then fall asleep. Going to be so much more restorative for you. Not holding yourself to the standard of keeping up, right? Your energy levels, your work, everything is so different than the majority of the world. Remember that full out or flat out. I am either, 100 miles an hour or 0 miles an hour, and that's okay. You cannot be on and going 24/7, 365. You're not created for that. That surrogate is not having a baby every 5 minutes. And then I think it's valuable to ask yourself some of these questions. It's like, where am I trying to people please in my life? Shrink myself down, be likable, be nice. What am I apologizing for? That's not for you. Why do I think I need other people's permission? Am I afraid of upsetting somebody? Am I worried somebody's going to try to control me? Am I afraid of rejection? And honestly, one of the biggest ones, probably my favorite, is like, am I afraid of my own power? That's big. If you're feeling off, it's like sit with that one. Because you are I've definitely had manifestors over the years that have really felt like, and I will agree, it's like I think it's a really big responsibility to be a manifestor to contain that kind of impactful, inspiring, innovative power within you. What are you going to do with it? Like it I can understand why people would be a little bit nervous to know that they have an energy that is meant to kind of like shift the world. So, you know, we don't take that lightly. So, again, to stress, manifestors, be the surrogate for the universe. Know that you are the vessel that is bringing things in that we all need. And like I said, that is a responsibility. It's like, but you are not meant to have to carry the baby. You birth the baby, and then you inform. That is how informing also works. It's like, hey, amazing things happening. The right people will be drawn to it. You inform them and they're going to want to step in and help you, especially energy beings that have the energy to kind of carry out tasks and complete your ideas and the things that come to you. So, again, surrogate for the universe. So to recap, manifestors, and let's just love it. There are reasons why I'm using a lot of like queen or royalty stuff here. It's a bit deeper story, but yeah, you guys are the true powerhouses. The aura is like a protective castle wall and keeping out those who are not meant to be in there contaminating things. You are the influencer, not the influenced. The divine vessel, here to bring those divine downloads into the real world, into 3D reality for the rest of us. You work full out or flat out, and that is not meant to be judged. When the muse is present, like get to work, let it flow through you. And when she is done, the job is done and complete, you need to rest. The zone of genius, I'm like, the universe chose you. Like, we all get our specific wiring and definition for all kinds of different reasons. And just know that you're the one, you're the one here to birth it into the world. And for manifestors, it's like, if, you're here to initiate, innovate, right? If something's been done before, guess what? It's not for you. You're here to create the new. And that strategy and authority, right? Informing. Inform. People cannot read your mind. Again, you are not asking for permission. You are just removing the resistance for yourself. You're making life easier on yourself. And then, of course, we have those three possible authorities.
All right, that's the basics of your human design energy type. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a lot of info, but at the same time, we only just barely scratched the surface of your incredibly unique design. The most important thing to remember is that it's a science experiment. Like, take this information into your everyday life and play around with it. Did this leave you hungry for more? I would love to work with you on a much deeper level. You can book a one on one with me. Plus, I have classes, trainings, and all kinds of other offerings coming very soon. You can stay up to date by following me on Instagram at Mikaela McLean. My link tree is always current, and you can sign up for my free 23-page guide to human design basics that covers all the energy types and centers and whatnot. I also have a podcast called Beauty by Design, which I highly recommend as an educational resource. We get into things way deeper. And plus, there's beauty meditations, beauty rituals, and interviews with my friends in the aesthetics industry who also love human design. So, again, thank you for joining me. And until next time, have a beautiful day.